I'm gonna ask him about that Hallmark movie. I just cannot picture Bruce Campbell on any kind of Hallmark movie. All right.
I mean, it's tough because he's known for the Evil Dead stuff, but he's a very what do they call it? He's a very classically handsome man. Like, you could see him in a Hallmark movie. Like, he does have the look when you think about it.
He's got that nice jaw.
He's got the jaw. The jaw is what you need. Right. The movie stars, you don't need to be. You need a jaw for the movies. That's really the most important feature. Everything else, you can look a little weird, but you got to have that jaw. Very important. And he has it. He has that all-American chiseled jaw. Andrew, thanks for the $5. If you like Haunting of Hill House, check out Flanagan's early film Absentia, one of my favorite horror flicks ever. It's, thank you for mentioning that because I haven't looked into his earlier films as much. But I definitely want to because it's great stuff. Midnight Mass was really good. I think I got the sense that he read a little too much of his own press in that one. Like, towards the end, a lot of the monologues were just a little too much. Like, that one scene where it's like, hey, what do you think happens when you die? And then they go on this, 4-minute monologue. And then they say, and what do you think happens when you die? I'm like, oh, my God, we got to sit through another one? And then the police chief, the Muslim guy who was talking about his experience on 9/11, that did not need to be a 6-minute monologue. That could have been 1.5. So it got a little self-indulgent, but still very good and very, very strong stuff. Yeah, indeed.
I think it's a good premise, and I like the guy. I like the guy who played the priest. I can't remember.
Yes, he was excellent. I forget his name too. But he was
got one
really
of those
good.
Weird names that old men have, really old men, from the 20s.
I know who you're talking about, and yes, it's a difficult name, but yeah, he was really good. Excellent. Brock Sampson, 71. Thanks for the $5. I came across your channel when you were discussing the Jimmy Dore Cornell West debacle. I immediately subscribed. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Brock. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate that. That's very kind of you. RJ Raymond, thanks for the $4.99. The real horror of Mike Flanagan's shows is his stable of recurring actors now includes Mark Hamill. Does it?
Ugh.
What was he in?
I think he's going to be in Fall of the House of Usher. I think he's.
Oh, he is? Oh, okay. I didn't know that because I watched the trailer to that. I must not have been paying close enough attention because I didn't notice him. Interesting.
Yeah, right. That's what I heard. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really don't want to hear the Joker in any Brian Flanagan movies. So
exactly. Let's go to a Rockfin tip. Thank you, JVB. Shama's a breath of fresh air in the struggle for economic fairness, and she has a spine of steel. Absolutely, and thank you for the kind words. Bonzo Bean says, "Oh my God, you're a comedy show. This is a Rumble rant." Yes. So we do dabble. Of course. we do dabble in Trotskyism over here. I know, but thank you, Bonzo Beans. Appreciate that.
I love Rumble. Look at Facebook. I mean, YouTube and Rodfin. You're all good, but Rumble, you guys are something else. I love you guys. You guys are.
It's
a different kind of fun.
Of course. We love Rumble. We love all our audiences, wherever they are. Bonzo Beans, break-in footage, please. What's break-in footage, please? What was that? I don't know what that's referring to. I apologize. Jake, can you let me know when that chat came in so I'll know what he's talking about? Thank you, Jake. All righty. We got another super chat we'll take in just a moment, but thank you guys very much for your generosity and support and your viewership. Please hit that like button, folks. We're struggling to get to 666 tonight. Are we going to hit that or are we not going to hit that? I mean, technically we have enough, counting the Rumble audience, but let's get it up there. Let's hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get some action going over here. All right, let's make this happen. All right, so here we go. This is the story that we could have covered last time, but it broke right before the show went live. Hunter Biden indicted by special counsel on felony gun charges. U.S. Attorney David Weiss, my uncle there, was appointed special counsel in the case last month. This is from ABC News. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been indicted by special counsel David Weiss on felony gun charges. The charges bring renewed legal pressure on the younger Biden after a plea agreement he struck with prosecutors imploded in recent months. The younger Biden has been charged with 2 counts related to false statements in purchasing the firearm and a 3rd count of illegally obtaining a firearm while addicted to drugs. The 2 counts of making false statements carry sentences of up to 10 years and 5 years, respectively, while the possession charge carries a sentence of up to 10 years. Now, what do we always say? I'll just take a little game break here because Russell and I have spoken about the over-sentencing of the January 6th rioters and just the over-sentencing in this country in general. To lock someone in a cage for making a false statement on a gun application for 10 years? Like, how sick a society does a society have to be to do that? Like what Russell says all the time, and I think of it myself. You only get one life. Whatever your spirituality tells you about what comes after this, you only get this one time, and on average it lasts about 75 years. So to put someone in a cage for 10 years for making a false statement on a gun application, like, it's just sadistic and sick and inhuman, no matter who it happens to, whether I like you or not. That's not the point. Prosecutors have spent years scrutinizing Hunter Biden's business endeavors and personal life, a probe that appeared to culminate in a plea agreement the 2 sides struck in June, which would have allowed him to plead guilty to a pair of misdemeanor tax offenses and enter into a pretrial diversion program to avoid prosecution on a felony gun charge. But that deal fell apart during a court hearing in July after U.S. Judge Mary Ellen Noreika expressed concern over the structure of the agreement and questioned the breadth of an immunity deal, exposing fissures between the 2 parties. Weeks later, on August 11th, Attorney General Merrick Garland elevated Weiss, who was originally appointed by then-President Donald Trump, to special counsel, granting him broader authority to press charges against Hunter in any district in the country. Prosecutors subsequently informed the court that a new round of negotiations had reached, quote, an impasse, and attorneys for Hunter Biden accused Weiss's office of reneging on their agreement. Thursday's charge is unlikely to be the last. Weiss also withdrew the 2 misdemeanor tax charges in Delaware with the intention of bringing them in California and Washington, D.C., the venues where the alleged misconduct occurred. Prosecutors have not offered a timeline for those charges, so there are more coming, it seems. This is a little later on in the article, but this is relevant. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Tuesday said he would initiate an impeachment inquiry against President Biden over his alleged role in his son's influence peddling. The White House has called the move extreme politics at its worst, adding that, quote, the president hasn't done anything wrong. Quote, today's charges are a very small start, but unless U.S. Attorney Weiss investigates everyone involved in the fraud schemes and influence peddling, it will be clear that President Biden's DOJ is protecting Hunter Biden and the big guy, James Comer, one of the lead committee chairs now overseeing Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden, said in a statement to ABC News, referencing unproven allegations against Hunter Biden and his father. So that was a lot of words there, but essentially it looks like Hunter Biden has some legal troubles. There are going to be more legal troubles coming down the pike. How sound the cases are, how likely he is to face any jail time, those are all unknowns. Will he be found guilty while Joe is still president, at which point he would almost certainly pardon him? These are all questions that lawyers can ask and answer, and probably do a better job than we could. What interests me about this, though, is the horse race angle, because the more you see Biden's polling just tank, not only head-to-head polling against Trump and all the GOP rivals for that matter, but the more you see people just answer to pollsters that he is just fundamentally unfit because of his age and cognitive abilities to last another 4 years if given the chance, I would be very, very surprised if higher-ups in the Democratic Party are not looking at this opportunity of not just, these first 3 indictments coming out against Hunter, but the signal that there's going to be more. I'd be very surprised if the Democratic Party brass were not thinking to themselves right now, do we have the excuse we need to get Joe out of the race? Because they could very reasonably say at this point, very plausibly at least, say, this is going to be a distraction during the campaign. We don't need these distractions during the campaign. It's too important. We can't risk turning the keys over to Donald Trump. And so, for the sake of not being part of a distraction that undermines our ticket, Joe is going to step aside. And the thing that's extra compelling about this is that they may be able to stretch that excuse thin enough to include Kamala as well. Because, of course, the problem is if Joe doesn't run, they're stuck with Kamala. Because of the nature of the charges, they may be able to get away with saying Kamala can't run either because she's part of the administration and that presents a conflict. At which point, the path is cleared for Newsom to come in. Because it's just looking, and I was not of the opinion that Biden was going to step down. I was always of the opinion, no, they're going to run this guy. They're going to ride or die with this guy because he's the incumbent and they got no one really better. And so that's good. But as he deteriorates and as his polling just implodes, it's starting to, become harder and harder to envision him on the ticket next year. And this might be what they need to get him off.
That's true.
Yeah, you can look at it glass half full too. I mean, look at all the world it's done for Trump's indictments, right? And his poll numbers have shot up, right? With his base. So, if anything, the Democratic base will rally behind Hunter and Joe because that's the cult, and that's what they're going to do, just like the Republican cult does with Trump. Right. So that's one angle you could look at it. Like they're trying to find a silver angle on this. But I think you're right. I think all this stuff probably doesn't even happen at all if they don't even have any questions about Biden in 24. If they replace him with Newsom, though, everybody hates Newsom too. The only people who like Newsom is Democrats. That's the thing. The only people that like any of these people are Democrats, and nobody else likes these people. So it's going to be interesting, and especially like when they time out when this trial is going to be, if there's going to be a trial, if they don't settle before. I think the next few months are going to be pretty telling when it comes to this kind of stuff, and to see how it affects, what's going. Because if they're going to replace him, they're going to have to replace him soon. Because the beginning of the year is 2024, and that's only October, November. It's only 3 months away for the beginning of the year. So they got to act quick.
Yeah, the ticking clock is definitely an element of this, but it's an element that they can work because the more this creates a sort of cloud of mystery, the more plausible their excuse is that there's just too much uncertainty and that this creates too much of a muddled mess for Biden to deal with as president, campaigner, and as a dad, right? Like this seems to be what they can use because they can't really give in to the narrative that he's too old because they've been pushing against that the whole time. So they can't really say, oh, actually, yeah, you're right. This guy can't make it through a sentence without falling asleep or embarrassing himself. Yeah. And if he's too old, that doesn't take care of the Kamala problem. Because if he's too old and he's incapacitated, then Kamala's next in line. But Kamala has absolutely zero chance of winning. Like, Kamala's less viable than Joe. Kamala's less viable than you or I. Like, anybody in this chat right now would have a better chance of winning a general election than Kamala Harris. So they need an excuse that takes care of both of them. They need a reason to say, okay, this administration cannot run given the legal problems of Hunter and how that may affect people's perception of either Biden or Harris. They need an excuse that's big enough to delegitimize both of them, and this might be just the thing that they need. And in terms of Newsom, like, yes, the thing that the Democrats, the problem that they have fundamentally is that, as Russell always says, and he's right, they're just so repulsive to the average person that they're only liked by people who are already in the club. That being said, I maintain Newsom, between Biden, Harris, and Newsom is the most viable in a general election. That's not singing his praises. That's more an indictment of Biden and Harris than it is an endorsement of Newsom. But he would have the best shot. I think he would have.
That's not a low bar. That's a bar that's buried about 6 feet underground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
But that's the way I see it. And, to all the RFK fans and the Marianne fans who think, well, this is our time to pounce. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. They'll jump right over them. They'll pick somebody else, and that'll be that. That'll be that.
It's a private club. Chance. They're going to do that. I see. That's the thing with Marianne and RFK Jr. is, do they not understand? Do they not read newspapers? Do they not understand that the Democratic Party is a private entity, and they have said that they're pretty much going to do the backroom deals now? They've pretty much said as much without actually saying it, but they very much broadcast that fact that we're gonna pick who this person is, and you guys better go along with it, otherwise you get the orange guy, and it's gonna be the same shit, same shit as last time.
Absolutely. You know, we almost did the RFK segment because RFK is now saying that they're rigging the primary against him, and he's circulating that letter that he wants people to sign to tell the DNC to, be more fair. I'm sorry, like he says 30,000 people signed that letter. Whoever signed that letter, I would like to sell you a bridge in Death Valley. Like whoever's gullible enough to think that has a chance at working is just like unbelievable. Like, hey, I got
bridge right over here. Yeah.
If only Bernie thought of that. Hey, let's just send them a letter saying, hey, what are you screwing me here for? That would have worked. Oh, we never thought of that one. Never thought of that one. Let's send them a letter. To play fair. Yeah, I mean, just absurd. He's going to send them a letter. Exactly. I mean, so we almost covered that, but we had more to do. But yeah, I mean, this seems to be a way out that saves some